Welcome to Unbreakable, a mental health podcast with Jay Glazer. I'm Jay Glazer. Before we get to this week's guest, who is one of the more inspiring people I've been around, not just in the National Football League, but in all of life. Before we get to him, if you're like many people, you may be surprised to learn that 1 in 5 adults in this country experienced mental illness last year. Yet far too many fail to receive the support they need. Carolina Behavioral Health is doing something about it. They understand that behavioral health is a key part of whole health, delivering compassionate care that treats physical, mental, emotional, and social needs in tandem. Carolina Behavioral Health, raising the quality of life through empathy and action. So talk about somebody who has had to show himself a lot of empathy over the years and taken action on his own life over the last 10 years. And look, we just came through the NFL draft. We saw people dropping like Will Levis, and we're all wondering, man, what goes on through someone's mind like that? Well, who better to talk to than the Seattle Seahawks Pro Bowl starting quarterback, newly off a new contract, who has completely revamped his own career and his own life with this. Their starting quarterback, Geno Smith. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Jay. How you doing, man?
I am living the dream, man. How's everything going with you now that you just signed your, what are we, like a month out from you signing that new deal? Life's changed a lot, but did you ever expect it would come, man, that this would ever happen for you?
I mean, I can't say that I didn't. I really did. I think that's part of being, having self-confidence and all that. But, life hasn't really changed much. I kind of kept things the same. My bank account's changed a little bit. But other than that, man, things have been the same for me.
So, you and I both know our wallets are not antidepressants. So be careful there, man. It brings more problems.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm aware.
And whenever I say that, people, I'm like, hey, our wallets are not antidepressants. People will jump my shit all the time. I'm like, you have no fucking idea, Glazer. Yeah, it's fine for you to say you're rich. Hey, I went from broke to unbreakable. I was making $9,500 a year for the first 11 years of my career. I understand both sides of it.
Yes, sir. Hey, you gotta understand both sides, and like you said, man, money doesn't make you happy. I mean, sometimes it can, it can kind of aid things, but if you can't find that, that self-love, if you can't figure out ways to be happy without material things, man, you're gonna be on a wild ride for a long time.
No doubt, man. Yes, definitely pays our bills, and we can go on better trips. It's nice to be able to make sure. Like I used to back in the day, right? Back in the day, I have to just decide, okay, which one of my bills am I not going to pay? And that sucked. Right? Having the heat turned off, electricity turned off, that definitely sucked.
Right. I've been there, man. We all come from some humble beginnings, but it's a blessing to be in this position. But at the same time, man, you just gotta stay humble. That's the main thing. Stay humble.
All right. So we just had the NFL draft, and we saw Will Levis dropping. Obviously, Hendon Hooker dropping. You were one of those guys also in 2000 and what was your year? 2013, right?
Yep.
2013, there were people who thought you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you didn't go to the second round. So just take us through that process back then. And then after that, I'm going to ask you, when you see these guys, how it kind of makes you feel.
Yeah, so that process, 2013 at the Radio City Music Hall in New York. Right. I think it might have been one of the last years they did it there. Was also my mother's 40th birthday. So my mother, she turned 40 that night. She just turned 50 on the 25th. Happy belated, Mom. I wanted to say it, on something live. But
wait, she turned 40 that night.
That night.
Whoa. Okay, I didn't know that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that's a story not many people know, but it was my mother's birthday also. So it was kind of a moment where you're leading up into it, you're like, man, this is about to be like a storybook night. My mother's birthday, I'm getting drafted, being a high draft pick, going into the NFL, which was always a dream of mine. It just all set up to be such a storybook night. And then for it to kind of unravel the way it did, not getting drafted, early, the Jets actually passed on me twice in the first round. So, I wasn't there first or second option at the time. So, really just a lot of uncertainty, right? Like not knowing which team I would go to, not knowing, hey, will I get drafted? Am I as good as people said I was? What's the deal? What did I do wrong? Kind of questioning yourselves, like, what did I do wrong in this process to fall in the draft? And then, just a lot of uncertainty, and then on top of that is my mom's birthday. So, I'm thinking about her as well. And so, I can remember that night, going to the draft, getting dressed up, suited up, everyone being excited, all the guys hanging out together, getting excited, taking the pictures, doing all the media, going across that stage on, at Radio City Music Hall as the guys, they'll take pictures of you and take pictures with your family. So a lot of different things going on behind the scenes. And then, as I'm not getting drafted in the first round, actually I'm just sitting there with my family and we're just kind of waiting. But I didn't watch the draft this year, but I can, people told me about how they kept cutting to Will Levis. Every time someone would get drafted, they would
Wait,
cut.
do you not watch it because of what happened to you?
No, I'd never do. It's such a long process. I can't sit there and wait 3 minutes for someone to get. I mean, it's just I'd rather get the alert when someone gets drafted. So it's such a long process.
Okay.
But just hearing about how Will, how they were cutting to him, and I can just think about me in that situation because the same thing happened. Every time someone gets picked, they want to see your reaction.
Right.
They'll show that person's reaction and they show your reaction to see like. It kind of creates this reality TV moment, I'm pretty sure it's great for the viewers and the fans and the networks and all that. It's perfect.
Go ahead. Okay.
I mean, you get drafted and none of that stuff matters. None of that stuff matters. But, I got drafted the next night and I kind of totally forgot about what happened before.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So so you're able to compartmentalize all the way back then?
Yes.
Wow. So I always tell guys who are coming in, well, I'll get a good handle on when guys if they're gonna draft or not. And I would tell certain guys, listen, don't be the misery shot. Like and tell your whole family, okay? Don't be the misery shot where they're all kind of hanging on you and you can see people angry and man, don't do that. At what point did you realize, oh man, I'm that guy. I'm the misery shot.
I didn't realize it because I'm not sitting there watching the TV. You don't get to realize that until like after the draft and you get to see clips of it and you kind of, are looking at what, the after effects. But like in the moment, you're just kind of sitting there waiting like like anyone else, waiting on the phone to ring and, might have your head down looking at your phone. They pan to you. It looks like you're down and out, and so we all know perception can be reality. In that moment, I'm never the type of person that feels sorry for himself. I like to poke my chest out and I get angry and, it's like, I'll show you type of deal. But in that moment, I just remember like, well, these teams are passing on me and all I can do is, make them pay when I get an opportunity. It's really just was my thought process is to be better and to, overcome it no matter what it is.
But it looked like when you look back at it, you look like you're pissed.
Yeah, and the whole time I'm looking at my phone, actually. I'm looking at my phone and I get texts, someone texts me like, hey, pick your head up.
Right.
And so that's when I was like aware of it, like, oh yeah, they're watching. But at the time, I'm just kind of sitting there waiting like everyone else.
What would your advice be to these cats, the Will Levises, if you could have talked to him before the draft?
I would say go with, obviously you got a decision to make. It'll be a dream come true for anybody to walk across that stage and hear your name called. I think that's what we all play the game for. You want to make it to the big leagues and you want to walk across that stage with the hat, shake Commissioner Goodell's hand. And I mean, that's the dream. And so I would say if you're uncertain about it, maybe not go. The experience is still a great experience, but if you're uncertain about getting drafted in the first round, if a team, especially as a quarterback, if a team hasn't told you, hey, if you're there, we're picking you, maybe think about it. But when you experience that, and let's say you are the quote unquote misery shot, or you are falling in the draft like I did, or Will did, or plenty of guys have. Aaron Rodgers did,
right.
Plenty of guys have fell in the draft. It just does something to you. It puts an added chip on your shoulder, and you can look at it as a negative because so many guys have said, oh well, I remember all the names of the guys picked before me. I'm not, I got picked 39. That's the dream come true. I mean, we want to go to the NFL. You get picked to play in the NFL, National Football League, is a dream come true. And so you can look at it in the negative manner, or you can look at it in the positive manner. And I chose the positive.
The way that they should look at it. And I just had to talk with some guys coming in the draft. I'm like, hey, don't worry about where you get picked. Worry what you do in your career. Get that second contract, third contract.
Yes.
Get that Pro Bowl. Be that teammate everybody can rely on. Be that guy. And it's, but it's so hard for them because it's become more respectable now than it ever has been. But that's the way to really go about it.
Seriously. And you think about, who are they saying the greatest player in our game, right? Tom Brady.
Right.
6th-round draft pick, didn't get picked until after all these quarterbacks. And so it doesn't matter if you're drafted, undrafted, or whatever. However you get there, it's about what you do with your opportunity.
Okay, so here we are 10 years later, and you make the Pro Bowl, lead the league in completes from percentage, set records last year, but that was obviously a really, really long process for you. And you are, man, one of the more positive people I've been around. Were you positive the whole time, or what kind of bumps did you have to go over, and how did you reset yourself to get back on a positive, a positive track?
I would say early on, I wasn't very optimistic. I wasn't very positive. I was kind of caught in the why me phase. It was kind of a freak accident and how things happened where I lost my job. And when I came in, I was struggling, on the team, and I wasn't playing as well as everyone expected me to. And so it created this, kind of a standoffish demeanor where it was like me against the world. And if you're not with me, then forget you. But what I learned over time is that's very counterproductive to your mental state. You don't want to be in a place of negativity. Things just don't work well that way, maybe for some, but not for me. And so for me, I always do my best when I'm happy, when I'm excited, when I feel great about things. And so the minute I started to embrace my hardships, you're right, like things get hard, right? Everyone's going to find, an obstacle in life. Something's going to happen to everyone in life where it's going to get hard. But what I chose to do was I chose to flip it. I say, you know what? It's not about the obstacle. It's about how I respond to it. And so if I truly embrace it and say, hey, this is unique to me, I need this. This is what I need to get to that next level, whether it's mental or physical. This is what I need. And then you start to use it, and you start to channel, like your anger or your aggression, you start to channel it in a positive direction to where things, work out better for you. I think if you channel it in a negative direction, then you'll lead down a negative road.
Something had to get you to make that change, to make that decision, to choose your mindset. What was it? And at what point was it?
I think it was really when I left the Chargers, my first year coming to Seattle. I had been on 4 teams in 4 years at that point. I went Jets, Giants, Chargers, and then, came to Seattle and really hadn't found solid footing anywhere. And so I just chose to, embrace whatever my destiny was. I really chose it. And I said, you know what, whatever it is, I remember telling somebody, I won't ever get to where I need to go until I embrace what I'm going through right now. And whatever it is that I'm going through is just, like I said, it's designed specifically for me, and I need it right now. I need to go through this right now to get to the other side of it. And so I started looking at it as, man, this is great. Like, things are hard. I don't know what I got to go compete to be a backup. That's great. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome. I got to go work my butt off.
Instead of it's happening to you.
Instead of I get to, like you said, I get to do these things. And I just started to look at life a lot different, man. I just like no excuses. There are no excuses. No one cares about your excuses, really. I mean, some people are happy you're in the position that you're in. Yeah. So, the reality is that you have to save yourself. And a lot of times people look for outsiders to save them or someone else to come along and help them, when in reality, you have everything you need to be successful. You just have to really dig deep and sit alone with yourself, meditate, do things like that to where you can have a clear mindset, a clear way of thinking to see what it is that you need to do.
So when you're going to Seattle, you made that choice. All right, now I have a fresh beginning. I can have a fresh way of looking at things. Or did somebody actually have a talk with you and the light bulb went on? Or was it just you?
I would say I had my son. I had my son's 3 now, so I had a baby. Okay. I was turning 30. Right. It's like in the middle of my life, I'm no longer a 20-year-old, right? I'm starting to, mature a little bit more. And, just overall, I just took control. They say take life by the horns. I mean, you really have to do that, and until you change your mindset and say, I'm going to really grab hold of this thing and I'm going to execute and do everything in my power to make it exactly the way I envision it. And so I stopped looking at things in a negative manner. I stopped looking at the obstacles as something negative. And, it's kind of like what I like to say, it's like resistance on a weight bar. You need it to get stronger. And the more resistance, the stronger you get. And you don't just keep the same amount of weight, right? You add weight so you can get stronger. And so that's kind of how life is, right? Like you get pushback so that you can get stronger so you can push further.
Yeah, listen, that's your equity in life, right? That's your currency. It's not the money, because the money can come and go. When you go through things that should have broken you, right? Should have broken you and didn't, and you come through the other side of that tunnel, that's what we could really use for the rest of our lives. And you certainly learned that about yourself.
Yes, sir.
Right? That's you. At what point this year did you realize, oh man, all that stuff I was telling myself, it's working. Like I'm there.
Yeah, I would say it really happened. It really happened last year when I got the opportunity to play when Russ got hurt. And because I had been big on this manifestation thing where it's like things are going to happen for me if I stay positive, if I manifest good things in my life, if I do good deeds, if I wake up with the right intentions every day, somehow the stars will align. And so, I'm not saying Russ's injury was that, but the opportunity was that.
Right.
And just having that opportunity, I saw that, man, I could do anything, because who thought this opportunity would come again? Who would have thought if I just stayed in it long enough, I'd get a chance to play again.
Right.
And so the next season, I just kind of knew already that things were going to be great. I already had it in my mindset that the next opportunity I got, I was going to take advantage of it. And it happened in Seattle. And so I'm happy for it, because I truly love the people I'm around, great people around here, positive coaches, positive environment as a whole. And so it was just one of those things where it all came together, like the stars aligned at the right time.
In your, let's say, your prior NFL life, what was the hardest thing that you had to go through?
The hardest thing was not playing. Knowing that I'm, I had started my entire life. I was a, 4-year starter in high school, 4-year starter in college, started right away in the NFL. So I had never not, been the guy, never not been the starter. It was new to me to have to prepare for a game and then on Sunday not play it. So the hardest thing was, Sundays being so ready to play and having to sit on the bench and having to endure not being out there with my teammates, not being able to help the team physically on game day. But what I did is I embraced that part of it. I embraced the part of being a backup and being a coach to the teammates around me. And freaking, if it meant cheerleading for the guys and getting them excited, then hey, that's what I would do. But just, finding a way to make an impact, even if it wasn't in the way that I envisioned it.
You got obviously benched by the Jets, right? Things are just not going great for the Jets. Then for the Giants, you finally get your break, but it's replacing Eli in the one game. Nobody wants you replacing Eli, right?
Exactly.
And you had torn your ACL before that.
Yep.
How hard was it for you not to fall in that mindset of, man, why? Why is this happening to me?
It was very hard. It was very hard because of all the things that I kind of went through leading up into that. It was about like a 3 or 4 year process where, like you said, was a starter, then became a backup, get my job back, tear my ACL in the game that I finally get a chance to start. Now I'm on the Giants, work my way back from ACL, work my way into, obviously getting a chance to start. But I had already, kind of bombed it in New York. So it was kind of one of those deals. And then Eli Manning is Hall of Famer, is 2-time Super Bowl champion, all those things. And so it's kind of like that wasn't the right fit for me. And then, going to the Chargers, that wasn't the right fit for me. So it was just a lot of trying to find my way and, just searching for any type of solid footing.
When they came to you to replace Eli, were you like, what are you doing? No, not this isn't the game I want to go.
Not really. I think that's my competitive mindset. When I got to that team, that was my mindset. And I know exactly who Eli is. I know how great he is. And I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, all-time great. But my mindset is to go beat him out. I mean, however I can. I don't know. It could seem impossible. Someone actually told me, God told me on the team, he said, you got a better chance of hitting the lotto than starting the game over Eli. I put this on everything. God told me that. And I took that very personal. I really took that personal. And so I just was going to outwork anybody. And that's kind of how my mind is wired. I'm not going to be denied. I just won't.
I hope you played lotto every week since.
I should. I need to. Well, I think I got something better than the lotto.
That's right. You hit the lotto, actually.
Yep.
Hey, what point last season did you realize, okay, everything I worked for, man, now it's clicking? Like at one point during the course of the season, like it's hitting. I'm doing, and did you surprise yourself? I know you're competitive, but the year you had last year, Matt, record breaking, did it even surprise you at sometimes?
It didn't. It really didn't. The funny part about it is those numbers I was putting up, I had done that on the Jets. We went 8-8 my rookie year, missed the playoffs by 1 game. I was a rookie of the year runner-up. My second year, I was throwing perfect passer rating. I think I was the only quarterback in the league with a perfect passer rating in the game, and that's hard to do. If you look at my last 8 game starts, because I'm big on the numbers. The numbers tell you who you are. My numbers were up there with the better quarterbacks in the league, but the perception was already that I wasn't good enough. But I was aware of the reality. And also, I mean, I get to see myself play football every day. I pretty much know what I can do. And so I've done some awesome things, and practice tape is outstanding, but it just that hadn't happened in the games. And so I had really positive coaches who would always remind me, hey, remember who you are, right? Remember the type of player you are. These are the things you can do. They spoke positive reinforcements into you. I think it's really important to have people around you who speak positivity and speak life into you. And that's what they did. And so it allowed me to continue to work hard, continue to stay focused, and just have that mindset that, it's going to happen again. And when it does, it's going to be beautiful.
Look, I'd certainly have this. I know, I'm sure you have it too, of that thing of screw me, screw you. And that ain't the word we usually use, right? So last year when you're lighting it up, how did you refrain from wanting to say to people, go screw yourself?
I think it came with maturity, man. It comes with maturity. It really just void of ego. I'm just trying to do the best that I can to, live my life in a righteous way every single day, and completely take away the ego. I don't see it as me versus anyone else anymore. It's just me versus myself. How great can I be every day? How far can I push myself? And the expectations I place on myself is far greater than what anyone else can place on me. So opinions, everyone's entitled to them. I respect that. Most of them don't matter. Some of them do, but most of them don't. And so you just got to realize that the opinions and all that type of stuff, the outside noise, it doesn't matter. You got to go out there and execute and get things done.
So this is obviously a mental health podcast, but it's also, we're building up mental wealth as well.
Yes, sir.
And you've taught us a lot here already. Is there anything else that you learned on this journey that could help, not just people in the NFL, but any of us?
I would say, man, just life in itself is a journey, right? I mean, there's obstacles, there's ups and downs. As we all go along this road, man, I'm going to see more hardships at some point in my life. You can expect that, right? You can expect that. And so I think truly being prepared for that, understanding who you are as a man or woman, having the right people around you, surrounding yourself with great people who are going to uplift you and make you want to work harder and be better. Those things are important. And then self-love, man. I mean, self-love is like the biggest thing, man. You have to love yourself. Like every day when you look in the mirror, speak positive affirmations to yourself. I'm great. Man, you look good. You know what I mean? Like say something like that, something to uplift your own spirit, because, in a world where it's so much negativity that piles on, and there's so much where people want to bring you down, you got to keep yourself and keep your standards high, keep your head held high. And so I've just always learned to, walk with your shoulders up, your head high, and, really never let people see your head down. But also internally, you got to come to a place where those things don't matter and you're just happy with waking up every day, because that's truly the blessing.
Yeah, listen, I think it's amazing what you've done, because especially these last 10 years, the social media has taken over. Hurt people like to hurt people. Yes. Right? So everybody's hurt these days because of social media, a lot of it, right? Yes. We compare ourselves to everybody else's life and we think our lives suck, or man, we see so much hate on Twitter. So they are trying to tear you down, I think, because they're hurt. So for you to be able to not fall into that trap and let them tear you down and want to kind of, haha back at them, is that in itself is admirable on your end.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Plus, also look, for your kids to be able to see you now and be like, hey, this is who dad is.
Yes.
This is dad's character.
Yes.
That's a forever thing.
And I'm big on character. I always want, I feel like our impact, like you said, is much greater than on the field. I want to be an inspiration to so many people, but not just for what I do on the field. I want my story to inspire people outside of football, because life to me, is a microcosm of football in itself. There's ups and downs, but man, you got to keep playing. You got to play the next play. You got to wake up the next day. You got to go to work, right? You got to, you got responsibilities. And so you just got to always take care of those.
What do you view your career as being a success?
I think my career is a success because of the longevity, because of the fact that I was able to stick with it for so long. Obviously, haven't put up the numbers that I expected to put up over a 10-year career, but I got a long ways to go still. So, we'll see at the end how it goes. But I think the longevity and just the way that I've been able to inspire my teammates, been able to help the guys around me, and been an impact not only on the football field, but in the community.
All right, last question. I ask all my guests this. I know we've kind of hit on some of it, but if you could give me one moment that's your unbreakable moment, one moment that should have broken you, but didn't, and as a result, you came through the other side of that tunnel and you will be stronger forever for it. What's that moment?
I will say, man, just, the 3 years where I was a backup and I went team to team. I was on the Jets, like you said, was the backup to Fitzpatrick, who was a great player. And Obviously it hurt me not to play, and then I had to go to the Giants and back up Eli. Wanted to, get a chance, didn't get a chance, really get a chance there. Went to the Chargers, backed up Phillip Rivers, didn't get a chance there. And so, at that point, I was pretty much a journeyman. That was looking like what my career could have been, and I had never envisioned that for myself. I thought, I'd go to a team and play there forever and never leave. But as life would have it, I had to go through something in order to gain a perspective. And so I feel like, that was a chance where I could have said, you know what, maybe I need to retire, do something else, find a different way. But I stuck to it. I stuck with it, kept confidence in myself. And here we are today.
And I want to thank you for something too, man, because I went in and talked to your team last year about mental health. And I usually try and pick out one or two guys in the crowd, because obviously, I'm being raw up there. I'm pulling back my own skin, and I'm being as vulnerable as you can get up there. And usually I'll pick out people I've trained in MMA in the past, because I know them, and we've already kind of had these talks. And it wasn't that in your locker room this year. I've trained Luke Wilson in the past. He wasn't there this year. So, man, you were sitting right there, and you're the guy I kind of zoned in on. Man, I just kind of felt right, like kind of nonverbal bonded with you, and just want you to know how much you helped me that day, being really raw and vulnerable up there to try and help you guys bond more as a team and to lean into each other more. So I want to thank you, man. I don't know if I've ever thanked you for it.
Oh, man, I appreciate you, man. That was by the way, that was great of you to do that. I think we have to do that more. We have to open up more and allow people to see our scars sometimes, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you for doing that. I'm happy I could have been there for you.
Yeah, we got to be proud of our scars, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
Geno Smith, man. Thank you for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. Let's keep walking this walk together, brother.
Yes, sir. Let's keep going.